Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have some incredible supporters in this room, and I'm so excited to host the whole delegation from Poland, along with the First Lady, who will also join us in a few minutes. And of course, with Ola, with whom we have been collaborating for last 4 years.
4 years.
So the floor is yours. I'm so grateful that we were able to do this together with Axel Springer and Equal Voice, and super excited to host you all tonight here. So there's going to be a super party. We have an exciting DJ coming from New York. So please stay, and we are going to go wild. Thanks.
Thank you, Rupa. You know, I don't know if you aware, but Rupa is from LA, and I know they party hard. So I don't know. Okay, they don't know Polish yet. Okay, so let's get going. It was an amazing day, very fast-paced day, full of amazing speakers from all over the world, and I'm so happy to be part of it. So let's start the first panel, and my guests, please join me on stage. Professor JAGANNATH PANDA, please join us on stage. Big applause. Anna Malec-Wąs, CEO of International Stability Operation. Anna. Sebastian MIKOSZ, CEO of Polish Post. Please join us on stage. My name is ALEKSANDRA KARASISKA. I'm a journalist and, please have a seat, and director of Ringier Axel Springer Foundation. The topic is difficult, and I think it's a very important topic. So security and resilience dialogue today, with different partners with different points of view. I hope it will be interesting and illuminating. Professor JAGANNATH PANDA is the head of Stockholm Center of South Asian and Indo-Pacific Affairs. Anna is CEO of International Stability Operation Association Chapter Poland. Anna is a leader in supporting Ukraine reconstruction, reforms, and modernization. And Sebastian MIKOSZ, as many of you know, is a CEO of Polish Post, as a huge organization employing 55,000 people, part of course, national critical infrastructure. Sebastian is Polish economist and executive director. Maybe you remember former CEO of Polish Airlines. Hello.
Hello.
Very interesting panelists. Professor Panda, we are here in Davos, and all the conversations today are focused on geopolitics. We are witnessing almost live, like in the television, or rather on internet platforms, how the world is changing. And there is a struggle of geopolitical superpowers for spheres of influence, for resources, for technological dominance. How would you, as an expert of international affairs, describe this moment we are in?
First of all, good evening to all, and a pleasure to be here in the Women House. Thank you very much for this lovely evening. I think that's a very critical question, and I think I'll start by saying that yes, there is a lot of changes are happening. Rather, I would say radical shifts are happening, but these shifts are not, unfortunately, positive. We are leading to a crisis, a deeper crisis. And this crisis is not simply just a crisis, it's a structural crisis that we are facing. And in this structural crisis, what we are seeing, there is the role of technology, role of power, role of radical groups are getting importance. At the same time, what we are also seeing, the competing nature of nationalism taking the front line. And therefore, we need multi-pronged voices to come forward, to stabilize the situation, to bring that necessary stability that we are searching for. And there, the role of women powers is absolutely necessary. I have written about this. In fact, would be happy to share with this house that one of the points that I made almost a few years back, that I think Asia has seen a lot of women leaders coming forward. We don't have top political leaders that much in Asia who have taken the leadership position, but there is a significant change is happening. And this change has happened recently. Of course, in India and many other countries, we have seen women leaders have taken forefront for last few decades. But it is also taking place in a country which has not really given due recognition to the women power. That's Japan. So we are actually seeing that momentum changing, and there is a new developments are happening, and the developments should be taken into confidence, and probably we need to bring out that necessary stability that the world today requires. And this stability is the most important need of the hour, because if we are late, then we will just lose the momentum. The kind of shift it is taking place might not be to the advantage of the countries, of the citizens, of the people of this world.
Thank you so much for the overview and the bigger picture. And I want to go to Anna, because I know you're working with many companies from around the globe, also American, but also Polish, who are operating in Ukraine or helping Ukraine or cooperating on many levels. Tell me, how does it look like during last almost 4 years of full-scale war, and how businesses survive during such crisis?
Yeah, hello, welcome everyone. Well, there were different phases, because at the beginning of the war, as you know, they secured women and children. So first of all, Poland jumped, stopped everything, and we helped them. But not just Poland, the world. But then they started to secure logistics supply. This is the very, very important issue worldwide. If you don't have supply, you're not able. Then they secured, of course, the energy sector, which step by step, life there was changing. What is amazing, what we also in Poland, when I'm teaching Polish companies and worldwide, please do not think as defense is just the weapons. Defense is needing sustainable support, which is stability. So we need any of your companies to support defense working. That means that our children can have safe lives. So what is happening in Ukraine, you can't believe, but in last year, 2025, 60% of the small and small companies were established and opened by the women. So why? After the women were moved out with the children from Ukraine at the beginning, they came back. Not all of them, of course. They are like ambassadors worldwide. They spread the informations, which sometimes are not always officially appropriate one. But then what happened, the military guys, the military are usually men. And they are dying, they're passing away. So now the women are taking over responsibilities in Ukraine, and they become more stronger and stronger. But what is the most important, since the beginning of the war, they had a support of the international company that maybe not all of you knows, but don't worry, there are the companies which supporting them. Financially, and also with the whole supply processes, which are logistics. NATO companies are like Momentum from Canada, or the British, or the English or American KBRs, and so there are worldwide companies which support them since the beginning.
Thank you, Anna. So we had a global perspective. If you have a critical situation in Ukraine, also a role of companies. Let's look at a concrete example as one company. Tell us, please, Sebastian, how does it look like to manage such a huge company during crisis? Because in Poland, we are operating right now during the hybrid war. It's not full-scale war like in Ukraine, but it is a totally different environment. Could you tell us more about managing a huge company in this new era?
I might surprise you, but I believe that the size doesn't matter in that specific context. The fact that we are 55,000 is just due to logistic operations, because this is a national operator. So we are like every country has a national post. So we are the one for Poland. But the size is just coming from the mission, I would say. So I don't see it just through the glances of the size, but much more of the specificity of what is happening currently in Poland. And actually, you mentioned both logistics and supply, and we are living this, every day, breathing this, along with private operators. Everyone has the same challenge. So I would say that particularly, so I can rely a little more on the post specific role as expected by our owner, which is the state. Okay, so I would say that we changed the way we look at technology. Here, Davos is all about technology, AI. It's all the technology. Fantastic. The problem is that your biggest ally can become suddenly your biggest enemy. Because the moment the technology stops working, then you have to rely on something. And actually, look at today's situation in Kiev. Technology is not helping the fact that there is no electricity, that there is cold. So you need to be prepared for that. Hopefully, in Poland, we are not in this situation. We are not having like full-scale military operations. But let's imagine what happens if there is no electricity. Let's imagine what happens, and that's our role, which is not known. And by the way, many national posts does it. We operate physical cash, and I'm always advocating this. The economic system needs payment systems. So of course it's wonderful to have your Apple Pay in Poland. We have Blik. Fantastic. It works fantastically. What when it stops? And we still need the economy to run. For a couple of days. Let be it for a couple of days. I'm not talking about a Hollywood movie crisis with Will Smith living in the middle of Manhattan for years without nothing. I'm just talking about 3-4 days of not having access to your bank account. Not to mention that the generation of a younger generation cannot move along the city without Google Maps. Yes, so you take away the cash portfolio, the payment portfolio, and Google Maps, and then you see what happens. We've been living this through COVID a little. We like mentioning because COVID was a non-violent crisis, but a crisis. For example, there was a run on cash, so we had to provide physical cash. And the more the cyber and the more the hybrid work is going on, the more I pretend that we should be deciding to have some physical protection. A Polish government is currently distributing via us an emergency manual. Okay, and we have
paper.
Actually, why don't we PDF it and send it through PDF? Yeah, but then what you do if your computer doesn't work? Hopefully, it works on energy. Internet doesn't work, and so. I don't want to sound dramatic, but it's good to mention it, and it's good to know it, that without this supply chain, without this logistics, without basic elements of what we are eliminating by the progress, we should be, or through the glances of the progress, we should be looking at it as an opportunity to relook what the professor is calling, a new structural crisis. Actually, the new structural crisis requests a new response. I'm much less afraid of a rocket falling on my head in Warsaw than of not having access to electricity and my bank account.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because we are discussing resilience, and this is many different ways we should be prepared and resilient. Professor Panda, I want to come back to the theme of this year's World Economic Forum, and the subject is the spirit of cooperation. Could you tell us more about this new international cooperation? How could it look like? Will new alliances emerge soon?
If we talk about the theme of this year's World Economic Forum, the theme itself is very genuine. It's an honest appeal to the world community to believe in cooperation, flexible collaborations. But unfortunately, what we are seeing is that a selective, layered, complex, and interest-based cooperation at this moment. And I think this interest-based cooperation is more about trying to grab resources, territories, and try to overpower the others, engage in coercive economic strategy. This is what we are seeing. And currently what we are also seeing a subtle battle of collaborating as well as coercing at the same time. I could give you a few examples. China, India. Mm-hmm. China and India are very much engaged in multilateral platforms, Take the example of BRICS, AIIB, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. There are plenty of other organizations where China and India are still in cooperating terms. But at the same time, if you see, both the countries have intense competition with each other, and at the same time, they see each other as the future rivals. And that's the nature of the world politics today. So I think what we need a much more engaging partnerships, flexible partnerships, and also a partnership which should be people-centric. On top of this, also, there are two other aspects I would like to mention. I think what we are also watching today in international politics is a lack of role of ideology or idealism per se. I would draw the attention and take you back to 50s. There was a time, if we recall about the Bandung conference of early 50s or early 60s, 54 and 55, the Bandung conference talked about the spirit of cooperation in an unequal terms between emerging and emerged developed economies. That's really missing today. And I think this is the platform in Davos today that we need to build that consensus. We need something of a idealistic nature, a flexible partnerships that should take care of the interest of the poorer, also the interest of the richer countries. And I think that bridge is missing today among all the competition, and of course the technology, resource competition, the power rivalry, factor in nationalism has taken over. And I think we need to review a lot of things, and particularly countries like China and India needs to take leadership position from Asia if they have to really convince the Western world and convince the European world. And today I think India-EU FTA, which is about to be signed hopefully, that itself is going to make a lot of changes subject to if we manage to sign it. And I think Europe needs China, India, and emerging economies world. Emerging economies world also need better collaborations and integration with the Western economies, particularly with the European world.
Thank you very much. Anna, Professor said we need more idealism in politics, and I've seen a lot of this spirit in a Polish society, in a Czech society, and a neighbor society during the full-scale invasion, Russian invasion in Ukraine. I want to ask you, what are the steps? You are watching it very closely, going to Ukraine very often, talking to people who live there. What are the steps of building more resilient society? Because Ukrainians are amazingly, not only courage, there's a courage, but also resilience, strength.
I would maybe answer differently if I would not survive bombing and seen what I've seen. So as the mother of 2 children, I would fight, and in my fight and my way of fighting is to help them to rebuild and stand back an economy. Because if we help them with the economy, that means we help them with the technology. Nobody expected that the jump of technology would happen there, would happen everywhere in that short time. Now we have to learn how to listen, how to cooperate, how to talk to each other. Listening is the most important thing, which we don't even have in our country. I mean, the levels of, if I go on the conferences, I have 2,000, I would say, green guys around me. I'm laid in the head, otherwise I'm not visible. But I'm doing that because I don't want to be jumping and saying, guys, I can help you. Because they are the ones that are doing the biggest job. I'm the one to connect the private sector, public sector, and the military sector. And I can tell you, I spoke with my colleague from Estonia. She's working with the NATO too, with the US government, with the Ukrainian. She also says the same. If I ask her what does it mean resilience for her, she says dialogue. First of all, a long term that we need to talk in between each others. Who of you knows that we have a SAFE program? Most probably we do. Some of you already knows because it's one of the biggest in European Union established a SAFE program for European countries, and Poland got the biggest amount, 43 billion euros, which will be starting next month in March, and we're going to be having it divided into the phases. The first phase is 30% for the defense and infrastructure, including. So many of us are sitting here says, defense, that's not for me. Guys, defense, I'm again saying, we need to extend the production. That means build, materials, supplies. It's everything going the same. And the most important is, don't forget that we are here, and no matter of the scale, we can work with the NATO, we can work with the, well, now Americans, I would say yes. I'm not saying about the president, I'm saying about the companies which has experience on the battlefield. We are not. Don't forget that Ukraine is 700 years of demining, 700 years with our technology. Why the Warren Buffett invested in the Ukraine the way that he's helping, but the part of the machine which will demine is in Ukraine. So the Minister of Economy is so happy. Why? He gave a job for the Ukrainians, but he implemented his solution into the market. He's winning, that means he's earning, Ukraine's earning, and then they are fastening the process of the mining. So again, if we talk about the steps, they are different, but the most important is to listen and make a dialogue and learn from that experience.
Thank you, Anna. Sebastian, you were listening, and I asked you about resilience. What is resilience for you, and how do you apply it to your colleagues, managers, employees, so many thousands of people you have to take care of, but also your clients? So how do you think about it as a manager?
For me, resilience in our case is adaptability. What has changed over those last, let's say, 4 years is the fact that things are happening much faster, and you need to respond to them much faster. So it goes through, somehow it's shocking, but it goes through decisions we wouldn't think we would do previously. I can rely on the example of Ukrainian Post because we cooperate with them.
You mean Nova Posta?
No. That's not Ukrainian Post. That's a private operator. We talk about Ukrpoczta, so the guys who are our public, our equivalent. And these guys, first thing they do, they outsource their operations to Poland. So actually, if you send an international parcel, it goes through our sorting centers.
Why? Why is it that?
Because there was bombard. As simple as that. So talking about logistics, when you define the level of military targets, I wouldn't put a post on it, frankly. But actually, after airports and energy infrastructure, this is the logistic that comes behind as the third target. So we learned from them. Yeah, we were to Ukraine, we visited them. The adaptability is incredible, and actually, I realized that we are not so flexible. We would probably sit and think about procedures. Yeah, okay. What procedures do I have to bypass or not, or who will tell me that I did things without the proper number of steps? So that's the mindset paradigm you have to change, and this is what we keep discussing with the management. Quite frankly, I'm not too concerned about my customers. They are very adaptable, so otherwise they wouldn't be with us anyway. So.
Okay, Sebastian, thank you. Before we wrap up, I want to ask Professor Panda to tell your definition of resilient society and what are the resilient countries right now during those very, very turbulent times.
I think that's a fantastic point he has made, adaptability. I think I would go with that. But two other aspects I will attach to that when we are talking about resilient society, the society also needs to be prepared to overcome any kind of difficulty and crisis, and also need to stay prepared for a long-term stability. And I think that's all about resilience. But again, if we talk purely on about societies, I think, again, being from India, I could say this is definitely a resilient country. The kind of crisis, the kind of poverty to unemployment to many other things ethnic crisis, that religious conflict that we have faced within India over the last 7 to 8 decades post-independence, that itself is a fine example about how the resilient society emerges and move forward. But again, there are many other countries we could actually take the example of resilient society. I mean, I would not really give that credit to China per se, but the way the Chinese people have fought against the Chinese Communist Party in terms of expressing their opinion, particularly, some of the minority groups, particularly the Tibetans, the Xinjiang groups. I think that also explains that it's not about entire country. It's also about smaller groups within that particular country. So there are resilient groups, resilient society like the Tibetan communities, Xinjiang communities. They are not yet ready to succumb to that authoritarian power. So I would refer to some of this example that how they have lived over the years to move forward and still not succumb to the pressure and still not succumb to the crisis.
Thank you very much for the conversation. Thank you for being part of World Women Davos Agenda 2026. Please stay with us for the next conversation and amazing evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.